Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Defense Radio, the podcast. I am your host, Josh Nahosa, and I am an independent advisor representative for SWAN DFW, which stands for Sleep Well at Night Dallas Fort Worth, and is our company and the company that is putting on this podcast. And I am here with the man who founded it 10 years ago. Some call him the Michael Jordan of financial planning.
Many.
It is not that many. It is Hector and Josh.
Maybe one. Okay, maybe only me. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hector is a certified financial planner, which is the top mark in our industry. And he's founded this company in 2014.
That's right. January 1st or 2nd, I guess.
This week, we are talking about saving retirement for you when you are in your 40s.
Yeah, we got 2 calls from 2 very different people right in their 40s, and their question was, what do we do? And we thought, well, why don't we tackle that on this week's podcast? And so here we are.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of people in their 40s.
Yeah.
So, and you likely know someone in their 40s. So if you could send this along to them, either on YouTube or Spotify or Facebook,
yeah,
that would be great.
But I know what people are thinking. But what if I'm 50? Don't panic. We'll get that next week. But what if I'm 60? Don't panic. We'll get that the week after. So we'll get everybody covered.
Maybe we'll circle back to younger people the week after that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So before we do that, though,
right,
I have a very important question.
Important question. Okay.
The Olympics are coming up.
Yes.
As we're recording it.
Okay.
This episode, they're in a few days.
Okay.
The opening ceremonies.
Right.
As it's being released, the opening ceremony is probably already happened, depending on when you're watching it.
Okay.
What Olympic sport, if you were given a month to train, do you think you could be competitive in? We'll say in the prime of your life.
The prime of my life. Well, some say this is the prime of my life.
The athletic prime of your life?
Yeah. I always thought, let me tell you what I thought. Like a decathlon would be easy for me because you don't really have to be great at any one thing. You just have to be pretty good at 10. And then at 40, I ran a marathon.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the decathlon's marathon was 2 hours faster than my marathon. Mm-hmm. So I don't think decathlete would be,
not top on the list.
Yeah. But I don't think the event has been created yet, but I think many Americans would agree with me. I think couch potato would be something that I would qualify in every heat and probably win the gold medal because I would do that very well. It's almost natural.
That's true.
It's like my natural spiritual gift.
Napping.
Napping is another one.
Running 15 minutes late.
Now you're getting personal.
Some things. I feel like Olympic walking, I could probably piece that together if I was given a month to kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
they're walking fast.
They are, and the challenge would be if somebody passes you to have the discipline to continue to walk. And there's a funny rule about the difference between walking and running. It has to do with
foot on the ground.
Yeah, So I think that would be hard for me because if somebody passes me,
you're just gonna jog.
I'm just gonna jog and catch up with them. So, good question.
That is a good question.
Something for you all to think about at the dinner table tonight is what Olympic sporting event would you qualify for the Olympics for the U.S. team? And then let us know. We'd like to know how athletic our audience was. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. It'll be. Yeah. I'm excited to watch the sprinting.
Yes.
I think that'll be fun.
They go very fast.
Yeah. So, back to 40-years.
Okay.
One Olympian is 40. His name's LeBron James. Maybe you've heard of him. He gets to carry the flag.
Basketball,
down. Yeah. It's
I could carry a flag. Well, I don't know. It's pretty heavy, but okay.
For a minute. So, 40-year-olds.
40-year-olds.
We have some steps. The article we're taking this from will be in the description of the YouTube video or Spotify or Facebook, wherever you're watching it. It'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, what happened is this week, over the last 7 days, we've had 2 clients that referred to us, and that's 90% of our business is referral, and they were both 40 years old, and their questions were very, very similar. Is, okay, I'm 40, empty nesters, or getting close to be empty nesters. What should I be doing? Where should I be? All those kind of questions. And I said, yeah. So I answered them, but I thought it would be a good idea to maybe get a podcast together so we can send it to people who are 40.
So the first thing we have here, as we're just going to start cycling through some of these,
right?
We want to get rid of debt.
Bad debt.
So there is a difference between good debt and bad debt.
Yeah, and bad debt is credit card debt, and however, whatever we've got to do to get rid of it, because the interest rates on bad debt are really, really high. And especially if you're paying the minimum payment, well, it's going to take you years and years and years. So create a plan to pay off the debt. We have a pretty simple rule. If you're in a bad debt situation, first off, don't beat yourself up. It doesn't matter how you got here. All we got to do is get you out. But if you're in a deep hole, rule 1, stop digging. Don't take on any more debt. And let's start paying down that debt. Let's get a plan put together. There's a couple of different ways we can help you with that. But let's get out of debt, out of the bad debt. That'll free up some cash, likely, and give you some breathing room.
Yeah, so bad debt is like that. Good debt would be like a mortgage, as an example, of your house.
Exactly. And a mortgage, if you were lucky enough to finance your house or refinance your house like 3 or 4 years ago, some of us have mortgages in the 2s and the 3s. That may not be debt you want to pay off, because simple math says if you have $1,000 and you can pay off a 3% debt, or you can put it in the market and earn, not guaranteed, but over a long period of time, about 8%, we would hope that the math makes sense to you, that earning 8 and then paying off the 3, you're still net up 5. And so if you have a high interest mortgage, then maybe we need to talk about paying that off. And then finally, we talk about how we're different than CPAs, because an accountant will give you here's the bottom line. But if it's a major deal for you that one of your life's goals was to pay off debt, then maybe that's what we need to do. But from a math perspective, we need to kind of look at that and see if it makes sense to pay off low mortgage debt. Yeah, and then the article talks about maxing out your 401k. And hopefully you're in a place where you can start doing that. People say one of the folks I was talking to said, when's the best time to start planning for retirement? Well, the best time was 5 years ago. Second best time is today. And hopefully you're putting a lot of money in your 401k. And if you're not, start with more than you think. Mm-hmm. It's a good habit to get into, and then every year increase it by 1. If you get a raise of 3, put 1 or 1.5 into your 401k, and just keep increasing it that way, so it doesn't take any money out of your net income. Mm-hmm. And you'll get into a situation where you put a lot of money in, and you get into your 50s and 60s, and that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, I think the minimum you should put in is to the match if your employer has a match.
Absolutely.
If it's a 3% match, you need to at least be getting the free 3% that they're giving you.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's 100% return on your money. You put up 3 and they match 3, and you've taken no risk. So yeah, if you're not doing that, do that. Do more than that. 10% is a good goal. 15% is better. But just start where you can. The whole idea is start. Don't wait to start until you can put a lot of money in. Just start.
Mm-hmm. Another tip from this article is save independently. So outside of your 401k, potentially.
Yeah.
Or if there's one not offered.
Right.
You want to save money any way that you can and get it into the market so that it has potential for growth.
Yeah. And so one of the first things you want to do is do an IRA. If you don't have a 401k, do an IRA. And the reason 401ks are so popular is the money comes out before you get a chance to spend it. And what I suggest, if you don't have a 401k available, if you got your own business and those kind of things, or you're an independent contractor, set up your IRA and just have it automatic deducted out of your checking account whenever you get paid. So if I get paid monthly and I get paid on the 3rd of the month, then on the 4th of the month, I'm having my however many dollars I can put in, and hopefully I can max out my IRA contributions, because those are going to be less than your 401k contributions. It's just kind of the way it is, especially if you're 40. But if you do have more money, then open up just a regular brokerage account, and let's start putting money there. So you have enough money when you get to be 60 or 65 or whatever your magic number is.
Yeah. The next tip here is we want to maintain the right investment risk.
Yeah.
We want to reduce risk relative to what you're comfortable with. Obviously, a 40-year-old can afford to have way more risk in their portfolio than, say, a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old. And you want to keep all of your assets and stuff in view.
Yeah.
You want to kind of be mindful of where they are and how they're doing. Maybe not check them every day, because you will go insane.
You will go insane.
But you want to have an eye.
Yeah, and you should be taking the appropriate amount of risk. You don't want to be too conservative at 40 years old, because that could be a killer. You could be saving the right amount of money and not investing it properly and not getting the kind of return. The magic of compound interest is amazing, but you got to take advantage of it. An 8% return is so much better than a 6 or a 4. But many people, as we get into our 40s, we somehow start thinking we're getting old. We want to be more conservative because we don't want to lose the money. And so really what you should be doing is being maybe not as aggressive as a 20-year-old, but certainly way more aggressive than a 60-year-old, because you've got 20 years or more until you're going to need the money for retirement. So make sure that your investment portfolio has the risk tolerance in it that matches your risk tolerance and what you need to get to retirement. It'd be a shame if you save a lot of money, invested it incorrectly, and not have enough money in retirement. Now you've made the sacrifice and don't have the return. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a two-part problem. You have to save, but also saving is not generally enough. The money needs to grow.
Yes. That's exactly right. And how you grow it and how you make sure you don't take too much risk, well, that's kind of partly of what we do. And then keeping up with it, and like you say, you don't have to do it daily. We here like to send a quarterly video for folks, and we will review every single holding, make sure we still like everything, make sure there's nothing changed in somebody's life, so that you keep it in front of you. And we compare that often to your plan, make sure that the plan is still working, and again, you don't have to spend every single day looking at it, but once a quarter, probably not a bad idea.
What next?
Well, at 40 years old, often we have children that are getting ready to go to college, and the question we get all the time is, what should I do? Should I put all my money, because at 40 years old now you're making more money than you were making at 20 or 30, and you may have a little extra money. And so the question becomes, do I take all this money and pour it into my son or daughter's education, or should I save that money for retirement? As much as we want to put our children first, one of the things I tell people is that there are, and the article touches on it, there are no scholarships for retirement. Right. And you can't take a loan out for retirement. They just don't do that. I don't understand why. So and this is why a financial plan is important here, is because to do one goal or the other goal sometimes can be really tricky. To try to do both goals is even trickier. And so having a financial plan, having somebody that you can talk to and say, okay, how do we do this? That's a good place to start. The other thing is college has to, on top of everything else, be a financial decision. You want the very, very best education for your child. You can't let your child make a $500,000 or $750,000 decision because they like the color of the uniforms or they want the football team. They have to get a degree that they're going to be able to use. So you have to be a parent, and you have to make sure that the decision they're making makes sense for their education, but is also financially sound. You don't want them graduating with $500,000 in debt, unless they're going to be like a brain surgeon. And well, then that's fine because you're going to make that up in the first year. But you don't want to graduate with a couple $100,000 in debt and be a school teacher making $55,000 a year. And I love school teachers. It's just that you'll never get out of that debt. So be cognizant. The rule for debt is one-time first-year salary of whatever it is you're going to go into. And sometimes we just have to be the parent, and we have to guide our kids to making good financial decisions. It's just the way it is. And because you don't want to ruin their life, and you certainly don't want to ruin your retirement. So tough conversation to have. Always good to have an advisor there who can take some of the heat.
For sure. The next thing that people in their 40s should probably think about is insurance.
Yeah, in your 20s and 30s, you're invincible, especially if you're male. You're never going to get sick. You're never going to get old. You're never going to die. All of a sudden, you're 40 years old, and things aren't working quite as well as they were working when you're 30 or 20. And so, you need to make sure that you have good health insurance. Hopefully your employer provides it, but if not, get some. Yep. The Affordable Care Act still is a great place to go to get some good health insurance. But now you need to be thinking in terms of disability insurance. If you're in that horrific car wreck and you don't die, but you can't work, how are you going to survive? How's your family going to survive? So disability insurance is a really important insurance to have. Most employers have it as a benefit. Often we don't take it because we don't know. And so we want to, it's going to be cheaper to buy it through there than if you buy it from us. If you don't have it there and you need it, we can provide that. We can get you some quotes and get you some good disability insurance. But get that, you might want to start thinking in terms, of course, 40 is a little early, but at 50, long-term care insurance. This says to be thinking about that. Maybe at 50, we start thinking about it. At 40, disability, life insurance if you've got kids, and good health insurance.
So the last thing here, our favorite, is going to be work with a retirement advisor. I always say it a lot, but it's kind of our thing. You only get one shot at retirement. So you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who has done it before with other people, who has seen a lot of stuff, like us, cough, cough, wink, wink. Yeah. And you only get one shot. So you don't want to do it on your own because you're going to learn a lot of things the first time you do it that you would do the second time. But you only get one. So
and that's the big thing is you want to make sure we've covered all the bases. And so we have everything that we do is off of a financial plan, and we're going to do, as much as we can to take into consideration or plan for, the unexpected, the health and or death or disability. Or very long retirement. I mean, you may retire at 60, and at 60, you may have 30 years or more of life still left. So you got to make sure that your assets last that long. And so, working with an advisor, somebody who is, maybe a certified financial planner and is independent and has their own firm, would be a good place to start. Maybe has a podcast that you might be listening to. That would be narrowing it down a little bit. But even if you can't find one of those, because nobody ever told you about them, having a professional, you wouldn't want to do surgery on yourself, right? You really want to go to a professional
for a lot of reasons.
And so and the big thing is there's a lot of emotional decisions that have to be made. We just talked about in college. And so you need somebody who has done it before, can give you some good advice. At the end of the day, it's still your plan. You can do what you want to do, but you're going to get a different kind, an unemotional person giving you advice and their goal is to make you successful. And and if it costs you money, that would be okay. But the data that you found that we have, how much more does somebody?
You wind up with 15% more.
Yeah.
At retirement.
Yeah, and I got the question the other day: is how can I pay an advisor, typically a 1% advisement fee, end up with 15% more? Mm-hmm. Well, one, hopefully we're doing way more research on the market and we're doing, investing wisely. But two, one of the things that is really where people really hurt themselves is there's an old movie called what is the name of that movie?
The Sting.
Oh,
Mission Impossible.
I can't.
Top Gun.
It's about the market. It's
Wolf of Wall Street.
Just Wall Street. In the movie Wall Street, not Wolf of Wall, but in the movie Wall Street, he says, the star character says, the market's driven by two things, fear and greed. And so what happens is when the market starts going up, everybody says, oh man, this is never going to go down. And people start, I'm going to put money in the 401k and I'm going to invest in the market. It keeps going up. Well, what you're doing is you're buying high, right? And then, as markets do, it pulls back. And all of a sudden it drops 10 or 15 or 20%. And now we're thinking, oh my God, this is going to go to zero. We're going to lose all our money and we're going to sell. So we bought high and we're selling low. And that's kind of the opposite of what we want to do to make money in the market. We want to buy low and sell high. And so one of the things that as an advisor, we're going to prevent you from making those kind of decisions that will end up costing you a whole lot of money. So that's how you end up better investment choices and then not making the wrong move at the wrong time. So there you go. Plus, we're a lot of fun. We're nice people.
We are.
We don't try to make people laugh. Well, at the beginning of our podcast, we're not boring.
That's true. Can confirm. We are a little long-winded, so I'm going to wrap this episode up. If you have a 40-year-old in mind, or you are a 40-year-old, or any age, and you want help with financial questions, or retirement planning, or anything adjacent to that, we have a couple different ways that you can contact us. And the first way is with an email address, and that is info@swandfw.net. That's info, like short for information, at swandfw.net. And then we have a phone number, and that phone number is 888-792-6339. That's 888-SWAN-DFW is what that spells out.
Yeah, and that stands for Sleep Well at Night. Yeah, and do us a favor, like our podcast or our YouTube, so that other people get the opportunity to hear it, because we think there's a lot of 40-year-olds out there that have this very, very question. So,
yep.
There you go.
So, thank you guys for listening.
Yep.
And we'll catch you all next week.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.